Hello.
Hello, hello. Thanks for coming in today. I know that
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
it's been quite a scorcher out there. It's been really crazy. So I'm glad you got here safely and everything.
Yeah, no, sorry that I'm like that I had to postpone the meeting like 20 minutes. I had to hit the bathroom
Oh,
and then I had to hit the bathroom again.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of glad. I mean, I got those texts and I kind of breathed a sigh of relief because I've been having stomach problems recently myself. But I mean, this isn't my time. This is your time. Talk about it. What sort of problems have you been going through here?
Well, okay. Have you ever had the experience of like you're at a party and it's like kind of whack and
Yes, but go on.
you like really have to shit. Like it's making you anxious. Like
Mm,
how badly you have to take a shit.
right.
And like you can't like leave in the middle of it because there's just like a whole thing going on and you don't want to be rude.
Mm,
Maybe you're at like a concert and like your friends on stage. So you're like, oh, I can't leave, but like oh fuck, I really need to go to the bathroom and also go outside and have a cigarette and also get some earplugs that I should have got earlier and just that whole the better I think I just have been dealing with that for like a while now.
yeah.
I think I've got what's that disease? GBS?
No, a ISP.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, I'm getting older, and when you get older, you self-diagnose with an autoimmune disorder.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's fair. I want to
um,
give you the space to do that and feel
yeah.
safe to do so.
Yeah, so I've just been taking a lot of probiotics, fiber pills, cutting back on the like, recreational like diuretics and
Mm.
stuff like
We
that.
that,
Trying
I
trying
mean
to
that's
eat
hard
less
because we love those.
I know. It's just so fun. Trying to, eat a lot more like kale,
Yeah.
just like a handful of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Trying
it's
to.
funny. I actually just saw a movie that like really kind of captured that feeling uh of needing to take a shit and being too anxious and stressed out
Uh-huh.
by the experience. In fact, the movie actually is in part about a man who really has to take a shit.
Oh, how serendipitous.
Yeah, no, weirdly, like I've never, I finally understand all those posts on Letterboxd where people like talk about the new Thor movie and they're like, it's so great to see myself represented on the big screen.
Right.
I get what that's like now because I also have decided that I have some sort of weird bowel condition.
Mm.
I am, of course, talking about Elvis. No, no, I'm talking about Flux Gourmet, the new film by Peter Strickland of In Fabric
Yes.
and Barbarian Sound Studio, and a surprisingly low rated Bjork concert film.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
her like iPad moment.
yeah, and a movie that I think is criminally slept on. His earliest film, Catalin Varga, which was on Mubi for a bit and does not appear to be anymore.
That's a shame because you did tell me about Calvin Varga and it sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, really good, for lack of a way to put it, like approach to the sort of air quotes rape revenge genre by kind of decentering it from those, but not in like the annoying promising young woman way.
Mm.
But like making it more of like a human drama rather than really about
Wow.
uh graphic scenes of violence against women or graphic scenes of retributive violence.
Wow, hating on a movie by women so you can raise up Peter Strickland's name. That's just classic. That's classic patriarchy right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, until Emerald Ferrell makes a better movie about farting,
Until Will
I'll
Will
watch.
Ferrell's daughter.
Yeah. And tell the lady from Booksmart, unless that new Florence Pugh movie that the lady from Booksmart is making,
Oh man.
uh that oh man, that trailer, I saw that before some other film, and I was like, that could go either way. And then I like saw the director's name, and I was like, oh, that's only going one way.
I was like excited during that trailer, and my excitement kind of like soured like a banana just going dry on the counter. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, what a poor. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about a different women's failed art. The main character of this, one of the other main characters of this film, Elle, and her little uh art triad. Um, I think it's really cute that the film is kind of about this art residency, but it takes place in like I don't like some sort of like Mad Magazine skit universe
right.
where they're like noise musicians, but it's like a genre of like art known as sonic catering, and everyone just kind of uses that term and refers to it as if it's like a sculpture. like like
Yeah.
like it's like a genre of medium, or like a medium of like art that like everybody is familiar with like the bounds of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like a in kind of Peter Strickland fashion. Because I've only seen In Fabric. Like that's the only other Peter Strickland movie that I've seen. But this kind of carries over a sensibility of like fantasy future world where the doing the performance art with SpaghettiOs has become a little bit more mainstreamed, uh, to the extent that it's, there's these parties at woodland mansions where people, private viewings essentially.
Honestly, fucked up that they didn't include a shout out to the SpaghettiOs piece. God, what was the name of that?
Oh God, I don't even.
SpaghettiOs art piece. Well, it's like that mixed with like a noise, like a garage noise show.
Yeah, I mean that's like a whole I that is a kind of
Interior
genre.
semiotics. That's the name of the video.
Yeah, that is. I mean, like it is a whole genre ostensibly of performance art, right? Is like performance pieces that get messy and goopy, and you bring your Gallagher plastic sheet covering to cover your face.
I think what I like is that it could be so easy to just film basically a bunch of like interior semiotics jokes, because the original interior semiotics, like the actual value of the art itself aside, it
Right.
is really funny that it's like it takes her like a really long time to open the can of spaghettios. So like I feel like it would be really easy to just do like Austin Powers tier like set comedy bullshit with it. But it like takes the art that they're making like seriously. Like it films it in a way that like makes it look like really cool performances.
Yeah. Well,
Even when it's like kind of like tongue in cheek mocking the performances.
right, yeah, like carrying over a really important aspect of In Fabric, and a really necessary, I think, aspect of In Fabric is just the sort of like wall of sound effect, the
Yeah.
extreme noisiness and just the like just totally overwhelming sensation wise.
To tie it to the other thorough line of the guy who has to shit,
Yeah.
um which we're not exaggerating. That's like one of the main arcs of the film.
Hmm.
Um, it there's a continuing thing in the film I noticed where there's this like the sound that they're either making or sound from something else just becomes this like almost tinnitus in the film, where you don't really notice it until it cuts to a scene where it's no longer present.
Yeah.
Which I think if you have like a chronic condition is very similar, where it's like you don't really notice, it kind of becomes a background thing until you have a day or it gets treated or something improves on it, and suddenly you're like, oh my god. Oh my god, I can hear.
Oh,
Oh my god, I can shit.
I can I can shit. The birds in the trees are singing. The sun is out. Life is beautiful. I'm able to shit out of my ass normal without it hurting. Um, yeah, kind of bouncing off what you said earlier about like seeing yourself, and I very similarly have similar feelings. Just as far as like, yeah, I have a lot of stomach problems. I sometimes I will be at a party and I will all of a sudden just like jerk straight up, or like I'll just like tighten up because it feels like someone just stabbed me in the lower abdomen. Uh, and just a lot of digestive problems. Point being, like, the movie has this very strict self-awareness in terms of you are, as an audience member, like keeping an ear out for the same things that the character is keeping an ear out in terms of just like, okay, is there sound that I can like hide my farts under? Is there, you know, like if everybody's playing loud ass noise music, oh, I can just sit in the back of the room and fart. But it's like late at night and everybody's sleeping. I gotta go into the bathroom to fart and shit. And doing like a quick cursory look over just some small interviews done with Peter Strickland. It seems like a big part of his goal is to destigmatize farting and to like, and a thing that I really like about this film is that the funniest aspects of it have nothing to do with the farting. Like the farting and the shitting is like the emotional core of the film, and then everything else is like goofy and silly and funny. But that stuff feels more serious by comparison.
Yeah, no, I think that's like what's interesting is that like there's a lot of scatological or the abject in the film,
Yeah,
you know, intestines, stuff that looks like blood, shit, stuff that looks like shit, farting and all of this stuff. But it's all treated very much like, well, yeah, this is the other side of like making a beautiful meal.
right. Yeah.
It is treated as like, yeah, these are things that these characters would deal with, and these are things that like people have to deal with, and so it's treated not with like dignity, but like with a respect for how undignified it is.
For how shameful it makes you feel.
Yeah.
There's
Uh,
literally the fucking scene where they're all talking about like farting, and Elle's character's just like, I don't fucking fart, okay? So get over it. Some of
I
us are built
I
different.
I love that conversation because the oh god, what's the other character's name?
Lamina.
Lamina. Yeah, Lamina is just like that's physically impossible. It's like the average person farts 12 times a week at least. And they said like, oh, they're having this argument like over Billy, and he's just like, oh my god, I am trying to go to bed. Stop arguing about farts. And it's also great to use that to like characterize all of these characters more too. You know, Lamina trying to be like, oh, like what's like a something profound and meaningful I can kind of get out of like this. You know, like our relationships to something so human, and then Elle immediately she's like, well, I don't do it.
Well, I am not a human. I am better than a human.
Actually, I'm above that.
I'm above your silly farting games that you children play. I'm like what you call an adult. Um,
Such a such a great performance of a specific type of insecure from money artist, by the way.
yeah,
Is Fatma Muhammad as El de El.
yes. Which, Fatma Muhammad, she's like in all of his movies. She was
Yeah, I
in.
was gonna say I think she's actually the main character from Catalina. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I believe that. I also think that she was like the. Was she like the shopkeeper? Was she kind of the main antagonist for In Fabric? I think something like that.
Um,
Yeah, the hold on. Yep, yeah, she's the amazing. God, she's
oh
unbelievable.
yeah. Okay, you're right. Yes, I had to like look up the art the that character because I was like, oh, I can vaguely recall them, but I'm like, I thought they were a lot taller than she is. Oh no, sorry, she's not the titular Catalan Varga of Catalan Varga. She is the wife to the character that she is hunting down. So that's why I
Ah,
remember her because the best scene in that film is when it's her husband and Catalan on a boat and Catalan just very starts slowly recounting the story of what happened to her.
Yeah.
And the wife is very, oh my God, that's so awful. How could somebody do something like that? While the husband is just like quietly rowing the boat because he realizes why he recognizes Catalan.
God, that just sounds so fucking sick. I want to watch
It's
that so bad.
it's super good. Yeah, no, great actress, fucking kills it in this movie. Incredible comedy, like sense of like comedic timing, but also like dedication to like the performance of this kind of character.
Hmm. She's a really good
Uh,
control freak.
there's so many moments where she perfectly conveys that like about face that someone does when they realize like, oh no, I need to establish that I'm not actually equal. We're not having a human moment here. We're having an I'm an artist moment.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like the like bullshit she like when she tries to be like, oh, I thought she said planger, and they're like, no, you didn't, and she just like immediately drops it. Just like immediately drops like even trying to pretend that she knew what a flanger was anymore.
Yeah. That ugh. The idea that she's like the ideas guy of their band is so it's so whack. It's so funny.
It's such a like it's such a perfect way to like talk about art too.
Hmm.
And like art collectives and like relationships within art and like other things as well, but just like the person that like has convinced the others that they need her because she's the ideas woman, but increasingly becomes obvious just like doesn't really have anything to contribute.
Yeah. I I thought it was really, I mean, like, I don't know, the way that she just kind of incorporated Stones into the act and like into the performance pieces, even though he was literally like, that's not his job, you know?
Yeah.
She's just like,
I
oh, it's interesting that you're going through this. And like, you're going through something, so I want to make you the subject of
my
my
art
art.
such great compliment to Crimes of the Future on that in
Yeah,
that regard actually.
in a lot of ways. I mean, this movie definitely feels a lot like Crimes of the Future, but in a good way, in a way that it feels
Crimes
complimentary.
of the toilet.
Crimes of my immediate past, which is what I call those two slices of pizzas I got from the 7-Eleven. Oh God. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, in terms of talking about things that are like poison to some people but like good to others. I mean, like, Flux Gourmet has this like fun thing in it where it kind of does this reversal where like, and you know, kind of wading into spoiler territory here,
Yeah.
but
Highly recommend seeing this film if you get a chance, but we are going to
yeah,
talk about spoilers.
pause here, go to your local independent theater and then come back home, I guess. But there is basically a scene where Stones, I mean, like, he spends the whole movie like barely being able to eat. And there's a scene where he asks somebody for like a piece of bread. And later on, as they find out that he has celiac, he has to like steer clear of gluten. So the bread that like was the thing that he was holding on to as being safe was like the thing that was actually fucking him up.
Yeah, no, it was the thing that was making it worse because he had decided. It is very clear, like he doesn't explicitly say it, but he assumes that he has a cancer of some sort.
Yeah.
And so he's eating bread because bread is a simple, safe thing, and it's kind of like very mildly like like it's not like made a big point on it. It's like early on at the end of the dinner scenes, one of the characters like, "Hey, I noticed you're not eating anything. What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm fine, actually. I'll have some bread." Very obviously, like, "Well, I can eat this in front of people, and it won't make me sick." But then because he's getting worse all week, he's like, I'm dying. And then what a great reversal to reveal that it's like, no, it's actually because you've only been eating bread,
Yeah.
which you are to.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
You are literally eating the one like food like group that is the worst thing for you to be eating.
no, I'm fine. I'm totally normal. I'm doing great this week, guys. There's no problems. Can you pass me the rat poison, please?
Yeah.
I'll snort it.
I'll just take listen, I swear I'm fine. I just don't want any of these vegetables. Um oh, is that just grease? Yeah, no, give me some of that grease.
Yeah.
That'll be fine. I can keep that down.
Let me slurp that out of the pan. Let me scrape that off the cast iron there.
This scene of him choking out his doctor to get him to stop making literary references, which has like the great bit of like also pays off really well with the scene of Lamina yelling at him, which is like fucking cut it out with the metatextual references.
Yeah, that guy.
Uh,
What a great Richard Bremer as Dr. Glock.
just
The original
brilliant
Lord
performance.
Voldemort.
Yeah, brilliant performance. Everyone in this is just like nailing it in terms of like playing up different types of artists who are and art liker types who are maybe a little bit hacks but
Yeah.
very sincere about it.
I love how
Uh
Stones is like the one guy, the one character in the film who's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm a hack.
yeah, which has like some really cute moments with that too, like the scene when he's talking about like why did I get pulled into this art? Is it because, and he does the kind of like pseudo like mystifying thing of it. It's like, oh, because like now I can finally be like a true artist and stuff. And then it's because like, or no, it's probably because I just can't say no to people.
Yeah.
Just like acknowledging immediately, it's like I'm over intellectual. I'm intellectualizing this experience that is just I am really bad at saying no to people. So I, even though I don't want to do this and it sucks, I just don't feel bad saying no.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a really, I mean, just a very firmly relatable character. Just in terms of like feeling out of place as a result of like stuff that's going on with his body, but also just a general sense of like his journey being kind of out of sync with that of the people who are like the quote unquote actual artists, even though they're like way more bickery and hacky than he is in a sense. Uh but also on kind of bouncing off of like the bread thing, there's like an inverse of that happens in the movie where uh basically Elle does a performance piece where she takes what appears to be Stones' stool sample gathered for the doctor and rubs it all over herself and sort of grosses everybody out. There's basically like these orgies that happen at the end of every performance that like the audience is like, we really liked your performance, we're gonna fuck you now.
Yeah, okay. And to clarify, the way that is revealed is a perfect punchline because it's immediately after their first show, and they're like freaking out about an accident they had, like where something came unplugged, and they're like, "Oh, we had to do this stuff." It's like it's a disaster. Like we look like amateurs out there, and then Jan Stevens
Jen
is like,
Stevens.
"No, you guys did great. In fact, the audience loved it, and they want to pay tribute." And she's like, "Oh, bring them in." So you're like, "Pay tribute." Like that's weird. Is it like me? And it just like smash cuts to like the most like Gaspar Noé like fucking orgy scene. And then it's just like, yeah, after every performance, everybody who likes the set, likes the performance, comes backstage and they have a huge orgy.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Completely fucking great.
just perfect literalization of like what of what stuff like art culture and communities are like.
Absolutely. But yeah, they when she does the performance where she rubs a bunch of shit all over herself, they don't want to fuck her, which is weird. Weird of them.
Yeah.
But in either case, like that is revealed to basically be the shit is basically revealed to be chocolate mousse. That's put in like a stool sample jar, which is like, haha, this is putting my little movie watcher thinking cap on for a second and kicking my little leggies here. But it's like the opposite of the bread or whatever, where it's like
Oh yeah.
seems bad but is perfectly fine, and we have this extended shot of the technical assistant eating a bunch of chocolate mousse right after the performance.
Yeah, finding the jar and doing a like, is this no, no.
This ain't shit.
It's shot. This isn't shit. Literally a reverse of the homeless guy eats crap video.
If anybody hasn't witnessed the cinematic history being made back
Honestly,
whenever
great double feature: homeless guy eats crap and FLUX GOURMET.
and Salo, if you want a triple feature. I think
Yeah,
Homeless Guy Eats Crap as like the middle, is like the intermission.
it's the intermission show. It's the pre-roll.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it stands to reason that a movie about this type of performance art would just kind of go all the way with it and have just like a a sort of shit related performance.
Friend of the podcast put it really well, Lonnie, when he's like, yeah, it's basically like this is basically a movie about throbbing gristle.
Which is funny. Apparently, they played Mersbow during some of those scenes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And
just
also,
just some sort of noise to have going on in the background.
yeah, just like noise musicians in general were played. Um, but and I can't remember if I've like brought this up in a full capacity, but I do really want to just stress that like the sound palette, like I continue to be fascinated by Peter Strickland's use of sound. And
Yeah.
how fucked up it is, because I specifically remembered like recording part of In Fabric, that because like basically the long ending sequence of In Fabric where uh Fatima Muhammad's character is like hiding from the like fire that's happening or something, and there's this loud like alarm klaxon thing in the background that's like nothing I've ever heard before.
Yeah, no, it makes me, because it's definitely obvious that like that kind of sound design is a huge theme
Yeah.
in his stuff. I don't remember if it's in Catalan very much. Obviously, he also did Barbarian Sound Studio, um, which I sad to admit I haven't actually watched yet. Watching this and remembering how good In Fabric was like earlier this week has kind of moved it up on my like I should really watch that soon
Yeah.
list, because I was like, man, that movie like everything I've seen from him has been like a home run, and even if it's not something I like immediately click with,
Mm-hmm.
it's so tasty. His movies are tasty, but he's got such a sharp idea of like sound. The fucking weird disco music scene, with the guy who gets put in the dress in Fabric and spun around until he throws up.
Yeah.
Like the music in that, which was just made for the film, is like incredible. It's like it's just like an insane background track. It reminds me a lot of Killer 7 music, actually.
Oh, that's funny, and also I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He has a really, really strong like aesthetic grasp of what he wants. And you know, I think a lot of directors do, but I think I don't agree with a lot of directors' choices in the same way that I agree with like Peter Strickland's choices. I mean, it's that's the thing about watching movies, is like it's kind of a gamble as far as like whether something appeals to you personally. But like, yeah, his stuff is super, super appealing and super, super cool.
Yeah, no, I think the best way to kind of describe his films is that like I feel like if you watch the first 30 minutes of any of them, you're probably going to be able to tell if you're going to click with it or not.
Hmm.
But also do not expect any of them to necessarily follow like a plot arc that you would expect.
Yeah.
In Fabric, especially, goes in like I still was just like completely gobsmacked by like the mid actor, like the midway point reveal in that film.
Oh yeah, yeah. In Fabric, there's a lot shocking about In Fabric. That
Yeah,
movie. I will say that like I didn't love this film in the same way that I loved In Fabric. If I were to if I were to kind of strain out my complaints with Flux Gourmet, it's definitely like a very funny movie and very funny on purpose.
yeah,
Not, like I said, not the fart stuff, but the kind of interpersonal stuff. But I also think that some of it can be a little bit like the film starts to feel like an artistic exercise, just in terms of kind of how things play out. Because like all of a sudden, Gwendolyn Christie's character, Jan Stevens, wants to fuck Billy, and that naturally creates a tension in the band, and like all of this sort of like Spinal Tap style drama that occurs basically.
I was gonna say it's like I do feel like one weakness of the film is that it feels like it's a little bit hanging its hat a bit, because like Peter Strickland loves genre film, like that's super obvious from his stuff. He loves
Yeah.
genre stuff, and Flux Gourmet feels a little bit like it's hanging its hat on kind of poking fun at like music biopics or like music drama films.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that whole arc with Billy and Jan Stevens, like the
Jan
way it
Stevens.
concludes, Jan Stevens, the way it concludes, we're just very melodramatically, she's like throwing herself on the floor and she's like, "Don't go, Billy!" Like
Yeah.
that felt extremely like, okay, this is like a scene you've seen in like 5 movies about bands, and you're like, why do they always have a scene like this? So you just put it in this because you thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the scene, that's the part that made my eyebrow raise a little bit, especially in a film that's like, we're talking about misogyny and patriarchy in this. Where, I mean, like, Elle's character's, like, she clearly has, Elle, I should say, like, has these issues with, uh, the sort of grand scheme of control as it relates to like patriarchal structures and things like that. She starts with this like whole monologue about like the wife's role or whatever. That I thought was like a really good. I thought that was like a really really good scene. And while I do think that a lot of her stuff like was very interesting and very well played through and very lived in. Yeah, just some of the stuff, some of the set dressing, some of the stuff with Gwendolyn Christie. It the character started acting childish in a way that like went a little bit past what was funny and became a little bit
Mm.
more like, oh, this is like, I've seen like 800 episodes of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so I can kind of see the
Oh
beats
yeah.
here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I could tell exactly what you mean. Because I was gonna say, like, yeah, that scene is interesting to me because it felt like it's kind of trying to interject, like, it's sort of similarly to the idea of like a running theme of like intellectualizing something, like you're like intellectualizing yourself to a point of inertia.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like a thing I took of that because it's like her and the doctor and I'm blanking on the other girl's name, or Lamina, um, all have this like argument where they all have these like different interpretations of the text and whatnot. And it kind of feels like they're all just sort of talking around it. But then when she actually reads the list, it's like cartoonishly misogynistic.
Yes, it's like
like
ridiculous.
I thought it was gonna be like she reads it and it's just like a very generic Martha Stewart kind of text, but then she reads it and it's literally like, wear a sexy dress so when your husband comes home, he finds you attractive. Make sure there's a beer for him. Take notes of things that happened in your day
Yeah,
to
that
please your
one.
husband. Like, yeah, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, but like she's right. That is like super misogynistic.
It's pretty inarguably
Like she's
misogynist.
you could definitely argue she's like over intellectualizing it to like for her own benefit, but she's not wrong. Like she's it's very clearly written to be like a cartoon level of like, okay, yeah, she's right. That actually is pretty bad.
Yes. But I mean, like, that's really my only major concern, I guess. Uh, like it's a comedy functionally. It's like a comedy drama film, so it's like a lot of that stuff is fine. Uh, I don't want to get through this without at least saying something about the costume design.
Oh yeah, no, the costume design, especially for Jan. Also,
Yes.
like everyone's like heavy makeup looks are so good.
Oh yeah, no. I was obsessed with that throughout. I mean, Fatima Mohammed's like eyeliner that extended to the inner eye and like poked out onto her nose a little bit. Like I thought that shit looked so cool.
Oh, that was no, yeah. I kept taking note of like her eyeliner and eyeshadow because I was like, ideas. Uh,
Yes.
that was great. I think when we walked out, I said Jan Stevens' outfits looked like very cremester cycle,
Mm.
like a lot of reds and whites, and then a lot of things that like would give her like a very weird silhouette for her hair and head, even when she's
Yes.
like in bed.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, yeah, I'm really happy to see Gwendolyn Christie here. I am not a fan of Game of Thrones. I watched Game of Thrones. I saw it. And of course she was great in Fabric. I mean, like, there's the obvious thing that she's very towering. So they use that to a very, very good effect. Like, she has just such a presence. The all red outfits are like constantly crazy. The thing she wears toward the end, where she has this like almost Princess Amidala like headpiece that is just indescribable. It's so cool. But really, my favorite thing that she wore throughout the film was her like her nightie and her like nightcap with
Yeah,
like weird
it's
jester bunny ears.
it's so good, and it's like it seemed very, if they are doing a like a metatextual reference of it, it reminded me a lot of Grey Gardens.
Yeah,
It's the same kind of like outfit she wore a lot, which is like really good. It looks really good. It's a really good style. Um, Also, just looked it up to see she is 6'3".
yeah, mm, yeah. It's good when it's good. It's good. And she's just fantastic. I mean, she is very like she has this sort of classical English diction that she just kind of like keeps up throughout the whole movie. She's very, very sort of blocked. She has like a good choreography. Uh,
Yeah.
the scenes where she's like doing this sort of like sexual hypnosis on Billy. It's so fucking funny. So
I
good.
It's such a good idea for just like anything that they want to convey in the film. They just make the most like bizarre version of it, where it's like, yeah, where it's like we want to convey the idea of like sexual power or like manipulation. So it's that she finds out that he has a fetish for smelling fingers and his nipples being played with.
He's like a
And
he's like a
eggs. And
router.
eggs. I forgot about that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, eggs. He's like a router that you have to like restart in a really circuitous way. It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, squeeze my nipple, then put pussy juice on your fingers, then put that under my nose, and then we're all good. We're off to the
Yeah.
races.
Dress like a person who serves eggs at a continental breakfast.
Yeah, I wondered how much Gwendolyn Christie's like outfits. Well, her nighty thing. I was like wondering, but that seemed to not be a reference to the egg girl's cleavage. God, I hope everyone listening to this has seen this movie. This is just gonna sound completely insane.
Yeah, we are basically quoting the film directly here when we are referring to the egg girl character, the egg girl's cleavage.
Yeah, the egg girl's cleavage and Gwendolyn Christie's pussy juice and Billy's nipples and the shit, all of the poopy and the farts. This is a great
cannibalism,
movie.
the dead turtle. We didn't even talk about the terrorist prank art
God,
collective.
oh my god. Like, so fucking funny. Not only do they call them, I don't remember what their name was. It was like the Mongoose Snacks or something.
Yeah, it's literally like it's like the Magdalene Snacks
Yeah.
is the name of it. And like the great bit at the beginning where she's like, I just don't like the way they treat like some of these subjects. And she's like, and then Elle's immediately offended, like, did you only choose me because I'm a vegetarian? And she's just like immediately she's like, how dare you think that is the only reason I chose you? I did not choose them because they are hacks. She's like immediately just like furious at the idea that would be the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's so funny to just have them be this like shadowy presence like on the periphery of the plot. You never really see them super majorly. And then all of a sudden they show up and not only do they have a gun suddenly, but they also are wearing like mime makeup.
No, they're wearing weird masks in that scene.
Are they?
Yeah, they're like weird fucked up masks.
Oh my
You
God.
don't see them very well, but like that's what they wear.
It's in either case, it's very funny. And I was also, I mean, like, I guess we can talk about the ending a little bit, because there is an assassination that seems to take place. I mean, like, yet again, something that is like so. The death scene is like so comical, so cartoonish that it's like it is very funny and very ridiculous that she's just like, I thought of a name for our band. We'll call it blah.
Yeah.
Like very, very good.
Well,
But
and the recurring bit that all the names she could come up with were always Ellie and the something, and so
yeah.
the last thought is Ellie and her.
um but it seemed to be another bait and switch where like the performance that had the shit but didn't have the shit, the performance where they ate her but I think she was in the audience.
Yeah, no, they cut to because she has like the two distinctive moles
Mm-hmm.
on her face, and it cuts to her, and they are very visible. She's wearing a kind of like that sort of like a Jackie Kennedy kind of thing, where she has like the big glasses and like a hood up and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can see she still has like the two distinctive moles, so it's definitely her.
Yeah. But I don't know. It provides a whole different dimension to the movie. I think that's just like faking your death for art just after all of these like ego, after all of these like ego trip situations and all of this like infighting and stuff.
And it becomes, of course, like a way for like her to save face too, where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, they're not going solo, they're not ditching me, I died.
Yeah. Like so control freak.
Yeah.
So needing to control the narrative. Ugh. Yeah, that stuff was really smart and really apt. I felt like
Oh, and then ending on a Stone's just happy to be there face. Finding the idea of marrying, finding both relief and release in finding your place and position within art and community, with figuring out why you can't stop shitting and getting it and solving it by just changing your diet.
God, this really is the
Brilliant.
same fucking movie as Crimes of the Future.
No, it is the perfect. It is the goofy comedy complement to Crimes of the Future.
Yeah. I love it. I love that this is something that's, taken hold of the zeitgeist.
I think we should also mention, as maybe our last thing. I'll save anything else to add. That we found out that this movie was playing here Sunday,
Yeah.
and immediately was just like, "Do you want to go see this tomorrow?" And both of us didn't look up anything about the film, didn't watch the trailer, just sent a link to Brew and said, "Hey, there's a new Peter Strickland out," and we both were like, "Let's get tickets." So we
It's like,
walked into this completely blind. Literally, all we knew was the title of the film.
yes. I actually like forgot the title of the film. So I walked up to the lady at the counter or whatever, and she was like, "Oh, what are you here to see?" And I was like,
One ticket to Peter Strickland, please.
yeah, let me see that Strickland joint. One ticket to FLUX go away or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
One ticket to I think it's Aeon Flux.
That's what they should have called it. They should have called it that.
Yeah. No
I
one
don't
else
know.
is using that name.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't know why it's not called that. Uh, well, I'm glad that there's some art out there that's reflecting the experience of people who, you know, need to fart and shit and have horrible stomach problems and stomach pain all the fucking time, and have to avoid orgies because of it.
Yeah.
That's the real underreported underclass of society, is people who can't go to the orgy because they had too many pizza. And I think that's what this
Yeah.
movie is all about.
No, I you know what, much like Stones, I am also finding relief and release through art. That said, I will be using your bathroom for the next 40 to 90 minutes.
All right. Well, I mean, is it okay if I charge you for that? I mean,
Absolutely not.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna. Damn, we don't have another bathroom in this building, so I'm probably gonna have to figure something out because
Oh, that's fine. The QFC down the street has a bathroom.
All right. Well, last time I'll just ask for the code. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. Well, are do you need any? Do you need any? Do you need anything in there? Do you need any toilet paper? Are you? Oh, you're all. Oh, you're already taken command. All right. Well, I.
Oh, I said bye.
All right. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna bring these tums with me and just. I gotta get moving.